bio people. Hey
Wow,
everyone.
yeah. This is a big breakout room.
Yeah, not surprised. A lot of people are interested in like bio, pre-med, that path. So
All right.
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think this is everyone. So, hi, everyone. Welcome to the biology breakout room. If you have any questions directed to the panelists specifically, then you can drop it in the chat and they can answer them. And yeah. And if not, I can also start off with some questions. Okay, so personally, I was wondering, what are some main factors you considered while choosing your university and or accepting it?
I can start on that. So I applied ED to Brown, and luckily it worked out. So that was my top choice, and I chose Brown because of the open curriculum, which I explained a bit before, but it sort of means that everyone's on a distinct path and has a unique perspective and sort of mindset about every class. So you're really only taking a class because you want to take it. Everyone who's there is interested in that topic and is engaging in it, and it just makes the experience very special when you're surrounded by people who are genuinely interested in it. I also like the open curriculum because it allows you to take classes that are seemingly unrelated, but that you are bound to find connections in and will enhance your understanding in other classes. Like, for example, right now I'm in sociology and a cognitive neuroscience class, and what I'm learning in cognitive neuroscience about humans' brains, decisions, how we learn, our attention span, our memory, can really apply to some sociological concepts that I'm learning in sociology.
Awesome. And Patrick and Hannah, you guys can just feel free to jump right in.
Well, I think I mentioned this before, just that I chose Johns Hopkins and I applied ED, which worked out great, was that it was I was on a pre-med path, wanted to become like in the medical field. So I thought that with Johns Hopkins so close to a hospital, having such a great medical program, that would be a really good choice for me. And I saw a question, like the difference between ED rather than replying normally. ED means early decision, meaning that if you apply and you do get in, you do have to go to that specific university. But if you apply normally, like which is RD, regular decision, then if you get in, you do not have to go to that university. You could go to a different one that you also applied for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, to add on, the ED, the acceptance rates tend to be a little bit higher. I think because some of the athletes all the athletes apply ED, and also so people tend to apply ED to like their top school because it gives you a higher chance, because if you don't get accepted, sometimes you can also get deferred into the regular decision pool.
I see a lot of questions about coursework. So I would say, you're not going to really know exactly which courses to take until you pick a major in university. At least that's kind of how it is at Hopkins. I think it's probably a little bit more open at schools like Brown or some other ones. Hopkins is pretty open with its curriculum as well, but usually what you'll do here is you'll pick a major. You don't have to declare your major at Hopkins until the end of first year, but usually people come in pretty dead set on, oh, I want to be a mole cell bio pre-med kind of person. And then like you pick your courses. Hannah's laughing because like we have a lot of pre-meds at Hopkins. But essentially like you will go in, and a lot of the courses that you'll take will probably be fairly, straightforward at the beginning. So if you may take like intro chem or general biology or like calculus 1 or calculus 2, people start at different places based on AP credits. And then afterwards, as your classes get harder, usually in sophomore year, second year, you'll take sort of the large classes for your major that are sort of more specific. So for example, in mole cell bio, you'll take molecular bio, you'll take cell bio, biochemistry, and whatnot. And then going forward, you'll end up taking more upper level classes. So the classes kind of depend more based on your major. I would say that, just wait until you get to university and then, or like wait until you get into school before you think too much about classes.
Okay, so there's a question asking, did you guys get help from college or private consultants during the college application process?
I didn't have like a college or private consultant, but I did do some tutoring, like SAT tutoring, if I like some just to like help get a greater score. Though I did not really think it helped because really they only gave you practice exams, which you can find by yourself and basically study by yourself. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't take it. It really depends on the person. But if you do feel like you need some help for like SATs or like maybe some tutor for your personal essay, then that's basically based on you. How do you feel about your skills in these areas?
I had a college counselor and she kind of just helped me like get organized around the schools. I really didn't know which schools I wanted to apply to, so she helped me kind of choose which schools and then organize the essays based on like topic for each of the schools because a lot of the essays do overlap. I found it super helpful, but honestly, like I think having one or not having one, like both leads to lots of success for people. So
Awesome. Since you are, Amory is asking, since you are all in biology majors, what career are you planning to do in the future?
So I actually, since I've gotten here and tried some new classes, now I'm more kind of leaning towards the tech and computer science, cognitive science area. Still a bit of neuro in there, but I'm trying to combine what my learnings are about the brain and the mind and computer science and maybe doing something in AI, machine learning, building neural networks based off what we're learning about the brain. No idea what I want to do in a career, maybe software developer, maybe start a company that does some tech software startup. Who knows? We'll see.
I want to pursue an MD PhD in the future, which for those of you who don't know, it's sort of like a combine between like doing like a medical like doctor path as well as doing research. I think sort of, doing a lot of research at Hopkins made me realize that, I'm still very much in touch with like the science and the research side of things. And I know a lot of students here want to just go straight into like MD programs after, and I realized that I didn't want to just do that. So I definitely want to, no matter where my career goes, like have it involve research in some fashion or another.
Yeah, I think for SAT and ACT scores, it definitely depends on the school. So I think it would be more wise to just check the website for each college. And I do know like if you're applying this year or yeah, if you're applying this year that a lot of US schools are SAT and ACT test optional. So definitely check the website. Emma, yeah, sure. You can unmute to ask your question.
Hi, yeah, I just have a quick question. So regarding the ACT, when we submit to universities, do we submit all of the scores or we can only choose one?
It depends on the school. So some schools require you to submit all of them and others require just your best one.
Oh, I see, I see. Thank you.
So all of you are currently going to university already. And so what is one surprising fact you found out about your university after accepting it and like being there now? It could be regarding like residency or co-ops, internships, professors, classes, anything like that.
Something that surprised me. I mean, I don't know if it was a surprise or I just didn't really think about it much, was all of the support in like kind of a internship career future standpoint. A Brown has something called the Brown Career Lab, which you can go and they'll help you create a resume, edit a resume, look for internships, connect you with alumni. And I think that's just one aspect that's super helpful in thinking about like what you're going to do during the summer or for grad school or opportunities post undergrad.
What I found really surprising, I guess, was just how easy it was to get some like job or some research opportunity. Like, I know I wanted to go to the medical field, so I tried to get a job at the medical campus, the Johns Hopkins Hospital. And I thought it would be really hard. Like, I have to wait until maybe my second year or third year so I can get more experience or something. But it turned out like I only had to apply through like Smile, this program that Johns Hopkins has. And then after like maybe a week, I got a response saying that, okay, sure, you can. And that I just have to fill out some forms and then I can start working there. So I thought it was like really easy to get into.
All right, and what are some outstanding extracurriculars you did in high school that boosted your application? Or do you think boosted your application?
I did a lot of math and science contests, honestly. I think that was a big part of it. And I think it really helped, me realize that, I wanted to pursue STEM, and B, it also helped, show the university that I was really interested in, STEM and was be dedicated, as well as, also capable of handling it. So yeah, that was a big part of my high school.
Yeah, for me, mine kind of fall into three main categories. I had like a sort of sports and like spirit situation where I played like hockey and inside and outside of school for like around a decade, and soccer and tennis. And then I had like a tech sort of sector where I like tech and STEM. I did lots of hackathons at BSS, my high school. I entered a statistics competition. I did another like public health hackathon. I was on the robotics team. And then I did a bunch of volunteering where I tutored kids at BSS and also tutored kids in underprivileged communities. I was a volunteer coach for a Special Olympics, which is athletes with intellectual disabilities. So it's sort of a wide range, but kind of made up my life in extra time.
I also did like a lot of math contests. Even though I'm like pre-med, like medical field, I think it like really like expanded my thing outside of science basically. So math contest. I enjoy working with children. So I had a job at a tutoring center where I tutored children and like some teens. I'm a student athlete also. So of course I spent a lot of my time doing my sport, swimming, and I get that boosted my application a lot because like the time management was a really big factor in managing my work, my school, and the sport. So that probably helped a lot.
Amazing. And Emery is also asking, how many schools did you guys apply in total?
I applied to Brown early decision, so I only ended up applying to Brown.
Yeah, same. I only applied to Johns Hopkins early decision. And my plan was that if I did not get into Johns Hopkins, I'd start applying to Canadian schools, which is why I did early ED.
Yeah, I RD to Hopkins, so I did more. I honestly forget how many I applied to in total. It was quite a while ago, but quite a few. I feel like if I redid stuff, I may have applied to fewer. But yeah.
And if you guys are comfortable sharing, Jobina is asking, what were your GPAs before getting into your universities?
I would say that the actual number is not super important for a lot of American schools. I would say like, as long as you show that you're a good student and have like a good grade, GPA or whatnot, that's what matters. You're not going to nitpick and be like, oh, Hannah, you got only a 97 and Samantha, you got a 97.2. So Hannah, you're not getting in. Like they're not going to do that. They care a lot more about your like holistic experience and whatnot. So just make sure you're like doing well in your classes and you're scoring like near the top. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I think also it's dependent on your school. So at each US school has a profile for each high school, depending on location, and you're compared to like not everyone that's applying necessarily, but also like the average at your own school and in your school's like class, because there's like AP schools, IB schools that all grade differently. And having a B will, I don't think having a B will reduce your chances of getting in. My school didn't have letter grades, so I don't really know like the letters, but I've met people here and they said they've gotten B's in high school. So I don't think it completely impacts it. It's kind of just they want to see like an upward trajectory and trend throughout high school.
I saw a question in the chat dedicated to me. I would say if you want to do a PhD later, I mean, you definitely want to do all the classes for your major and whatnot, and some upper levels within whatever you want to do your PhD in. If you're interested in doing a PhD in biology, for instance, focus on that. I would also say make sure you try to find some research opportunities in undergrad as well. See if you can work in a lab, if that's kind of what you want to do, or if you want to do like CS PhD, do like work in a computational lab or something like that. Just make sure you're getting some research experience that you could write about when you do your PhD applicants. For me, it's a little bit different because I want to apply to MD PhD programs, which is like kind of like a mix between the med and the PhD. But yeah. Emery talked about the BSMD programs. I honestly didn't come into Hopkins knowing that I wanted to do like pre-med definitively. I know a lot of students came into the school being like, the only thing I've ever wanted to be was a doctor, so they go into it. I never kind of came in with that mindset at all, so I definitely didn't think that was the right type of program for me to apply to. But other people have had different experiences.
I've heard a lot of my friends talk about what they wrote for their personal statement, like Noah Hoffman. She talked about how her love of hamsters connected to her major. I've also seen people write like a crime case study for their personal statement. So I was wondering, what was your personal statement about, if you're comfortable sharing again?
Yeah, for sure. I wrote mine about the brain and connections. Like the overarching theme was connections. So I told two personal anecdotes, two stories, one about working with children in the special needs program at my camp, and another about working as a coach on the Special Olympics hockey team that I coached. And I connected how I brought those people I worked with into the community, connected that to the inner workings of the brain and how we have to make connections in the brain for our brain to function as a whole. Then I connected that to the interdisciplinary study of cognitive neuroscience, which is a field that brings in studies of neuroscience, cognitive science, philosophy, computer science, sociology, and lots of different fields. And you have to really connect all the information from those fields to understand the brain and the mind completely, and then used the brain as a kind of a extended metaphor throughout the essay.
So, okay, I'm assuming this is about the Common App essay or the personal statement. But to answer that question, the Common App, the difference. So the Common App essay is basically you apply to your US universities through the Common App, and in the Common App application, you have to enter a personal essay. But also when you apply to a specific universities also have another essay that some universities also have another essay that they want you to write. So eventually you may have to write 2 essays. And for my Common App essay, I wrote about my overarching theme was that I could always find something optimistic, even in a dark situation. So I wrote about how when I was younger, my mom always had to work out of the country. And I wrote about the car ride, about us dropping her off at the bus station and how it really infected me, but how I also always had something good to look forward to. And basically just showing my emotion and how even though I can like look to the future, even though it's like a really sad situation during that time, there's also something good coming out.
I wrote my Common App essay about a physics competition I went to in high school and the experience and what I learned from that and how it sort of solidified my love of science. So I kind of went a different way. It wasn't as personal as I know a lot of other people's statements are, but I think it sort of reflected who I was.
Jobina is asking if we apply to a specific university, do we have to apply through the Common App or could we apply directly to that university?
Depends on the school. So most schools you just have to do the Common App, and then the school will probably have between 1 and 6 or 7 supplemental essays. Some schools, MIT, Georgetown, and a couple others have their own applications that aren't through the Common App.
If you lived in a different country from where your university is currently located, how did you make that decision to live in a different country? And what are some like insights, anything new that you realize is different between where you used to live and where your university is located?
Sorry, can you repeat the question once more? That's my bad.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was like, I said the question and I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about right now. If you lived in a different country than where your university is currently located, how did you decide to make that change and how was that like transition process?
So for me, I'm from Canada and I go to school in the US. I actually was born in California, so I'm a dual citizen. So I didn't really have to deal with any of the like immigration forms that a lot of my fellow international peers had to deal with. But there is definitely a noticeable cultural difference between Canada and the US. People make fun of me for saying sorry. That's something I can deal with. I don't know, just kind of some of the lingo and like the different brands, but nothing insanely different just because people here come from all different states, which are super different, even in the US and also countries around the world. So I wouldn't think too much about like the country change, at least from Canada to the US.
I'm in the same situation as Samantha, dual citizen also. But yeah, there's a lot of like the really small things that you'll notice from a change from Canada to the US, like spelling like color favorite. I spelled it wrong so many times in front of my friends and they make fun of me for it. Temperature, Fahrenheit and Celsius, get used to that too. It's really not that big of a difference, but I mean, it's really a lot of the same.
You guys are lucky. I'm not a dual citizen, so I had like, I guess I wouldn't say it was like an overly difficult adjustment because like I found like the two places are similar enough. But yeah, like small things like, spelling color without a U or things like that have been definitely something to get used to. Hannah talked about Fahrenheit, but it's in the chat. I still don't know how to use the Fahrenheit system. So people are like, oh, it's 72 degrees outside today. And I'm like, what does that mean? I always like use my iPhone and just check the weather on my own. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't even like, we can have a whole debate about how Fahrenheit works, but like 1 degree Celsius is like a jump of 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit. And that just, it's not even scaled right. So
And also in contrast to a question that I asked previously, what would you say is a fact that kind of threw you off about your university? What is something that gave you like a negative impression about your university?
I can jump into this one really fast. I have a good answer for this one. I would just say like there's a very, 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 very strong pre-med focus at Hopkins, which is, yeah, Hannah's laughing right now because it's true, right? In some aspects, it's a good thing because there's a lot of activities that are catered to students in pre-med, but sometimes it gets really, really exhausting. Just because like everyone's pre-med, everyone's gunning for the top grades because like pre-med programs care much more about GPA than pretty much any other program does. You have people who are always talking about like overwhelming themselves or like being tired and like not being able to handle work and whatnot. So that's sometimes a little bit frustrating to see. It's sort of like the darker side of Hopkins, I would say. So I think this kind of just goes in general for anyone who's interested in going to like school in the States. Like everyone puts so much hype into getting into these schools, but like once you get in and like once you go there, like you do have to deal with a lot of like the other side of things. So I really love my experience here at Hopkins, and like I've met some of the best people I've ever met, but there are like other things, which not all perfect. So don't come in with this mindset that like, oh, just because I got into like top US school, it's going to be like a perfect experience, because it's not going to be perfect. That was a little grim, but also realistic. There's a question in the chat about how the immigration process is if you're not a dual citizen. Um, if you're a student, it's like not horrible. It was pretty bad during COVID because they sort of like shut the border a lot more. I think now it's starting to open up more than it was before. Basically, if you're not a dual citizen, you have to fill out some forms and you get a student visa, which you have to renew. You don't really have to renew each year. You just have to get like a travel signature each year. So yeah.
I can answer the question about like when I started writing my essay. I think it's kind of hard to answer. Like I would like when I started thinking about what I wanted to write, maybe I'd say it's about like 2 months ago. But really like that's really brainstorming, like what top like you have a lot of ideas on what you want to write, which is you think the best one that maybe like took 2 months. But they're like the actual starting to write it was maybe a few weeks. And that's like including all the editing, like sending it to any friends or like tutors that you want to that help you edit it. Oh yeah, before application due date, yeah.
Damn, Hannah's built different. I'm a senior right now, and like I'm stressing over the entire application process. I haven't started my personal statement yet. I haven't started anything yet. I don't really know what schools I'm going to. And I'm like stressing out. And Hannah's over here saying that she didn't start her like essay until a few weeks before. Oh my God. That makes me feel
Where
better.
where do you
Oh.
want to apply, Nikita?
I have a few options in Canada and US. Brown is actually one of the universities I'm considering. So it's really nice being in the breakout room with Sam. And also, Sam and I go to the same high school. She
Okay.
graduated last year. So yeah, it's nice seeing a familiar face. And by the way, Mac won Crazy Sports Day.
No way. Okay, that actually makes me so happy. Also, this goes for Nikita and any of the other like people on this panel. Feel free to email me. I think my email, I'll put it in the chat, or like message me on LinkedIn or whatever. I'm like more than happy to like look over people's essays or just answer any questions about Brown. I've really just been I've been having an amazing time. Like I couldn't really answer the question about something that's surprised me in a negative way. I mean, I have only been here 6 weeks, still might be in shock a bit, but no, I love it here and would love to share any like helpful tips for anyone applying.
I'm also going to give a quick shameless plug for another program that, that people have heard about for like applying like biology related programs. So check out the Power Up Mentorship Program. Just Google it. They give free like one-on-one coffee chats as well. That's something that's really helpful for a lot of people. I know it kind of was a big program last year, especially, and this year too. So check it out. They give a lot of good like university application advice.
Nikita, are you thinking of applying ED anywhere?
Definitely not, because I have nothing figured out yet. And I just feel like I'm like a really indecisive person. So like I can't be tied down. That's why I like Brown, because of like the open curriculum and everything. 'Cause no idea what I'm going to. I'm just a really indecisive person. So
You-
No,
We're getting
that's
there,
fair.
we're
It's a
getting there.
big commitment for sure. Like you have to really like be set on that school because if you get in, you have to go.
You could
Yeah.
apply to some school that goes like early action, which is means that you're not restricted to go to that school. I would actually recommend doing so if there's like one that you're like pretty interested in, because that will also, boost your chance a little bit. That being said, if you don't know where you want to go, then
Yeah, thank you for the advice. Jobina is asking, does it matter if you go to a prestigious high school to get into a prestigious university, or does it not matter?
Not at all. Like I've met people who go to like Exeter and Andover and those schools, like those prep schools in the US, and then I've met people who've gone to small public schools in the middle of rural Ohio. Like it completely doesn't matter. They take your application in context.
it's like a yes and no thing. I think definitely like they want to have a diverse aspect and whatnot, but ultimately, like this is kind of the other side of it as well. Like schools, they have pretty demanding curriculums in the States, and they want to make sure that students sort of come like that go like the students are going to be prepared for their curriculum. So they want to make sure that you are going to be prepared for that curriculum. So, if you go to like a super like I don't want to say like not competitive high school or whatnot, but there is like some downside to that just because you may not have like all the access to AP courses and whatnot. But yeah, I think as long as you kind of can prove that you are like a fit for the program and that you are capable of handling the demanding curriculum, you should be okay.
And someone in the chat asked, should my extracurriculars have a theme or do whatever you want that interests me? I guess like I've kind of heard that it's good if there's some like similarities between some of your extracurriculars. However, like that shouldn't be your focus. I think that admissions officers can tell when you're just doing things for a resume, and you should really put what interests you and like what your passions are on top. However, like it's a good thing to like capitalize on your skills and strengths maybe in some things. Like for example, I as I explained, I kind of had a bunch of different things like leadership at my school, and then sports, and then tech, and then volunteering. I kind of solidified a bunch of the volunteering stuff into one like volunteering resume that I submitted with all of those experiences, and I think that really aided my application.
Carol is asking, where did you all find your extracurricular opportunities, tutoring, volunteering, etc.?
I think it really depends on where you're from. I mean, for like tutoring for me, when I tutored, I mean, I just reached out to any locations near me. Like, have you ever heard of Kumon Buttonville Center? And I think in like Ontario, Canada, it's pretty popular. I just reached out to one of the supervisors there and asked if I could work, and she said yes. Volunteering, I think a lot of the like community websites have like a volunteering page specific for the community, which you can sign up for. For any other extracurriculars, like maybe in your school, you could find something like if you're interested in sports, music, something like that, that could be done.
Yeah, to echo Hannah, a lot of I genuinely found a lot of opportunities just by Googling like volunteer opportunities near me. Just hearing word of mouth through other people. That's how I found out about Special Olympics opportunities. Your school's advertising, like sometimes your school will just send out, at least my school did, those random emails about like volunteer opportunities. And at the beginning, I would just be like, okay, like don't look at the email. And then I started looking at it. And then when you get involved in an organization, you find out about other opportunities through those organizations. Talk to, I don't know if you're on like any sports teams or like musical organizations. They'll often have different volunteer opportunities that align with like some of your other extracurriculars and interests.
I saw a question of the IB program. I did do the IB program. If it helped, I can't really say it really helped me get in. I mean, it did offer challenging courses like HL Bio, Chem. I took HL Bio, Chem, and Math. So I took challenging courses. And I think that's what also universities want to see, that you're challenging yourself. But and also the IB grades, they give you conversions, right? Which can also boost your grade up, which can help with your GPA average. But I mean, it also is a lot of work with the personal essays, the TOK, whatever. That can also be like stressful. But honestly, if you think it's necessary, then it should be fine.
There's a question from Leo asking about internships and any tips on finding them.
Like, do you mean in college or in high school? I'm guessing high school. I think you could probably just search, like Google search internships in related to your field. I personally never had an internship. I spent my summers at camp in Algonquin Park, like working as a counselor. And well, the summer before I applied, camp was canceled. So I worked at an ice cream shop and then worked on some like volunteering startups. I think a lot of good things, high school, yeah. A lot of things are kind of just found by Google searching, and hopefully more internships will move from online to in person. Just speak to like your parents' friends, your classmates, teachers.
Okay, so some sad news. I've just been informed by Jenny about like 5 minutes ago that we are in fact not the biggest breakout room. Very sad. I think the biggest breakout room went to math and engineering. Unfortunate. Anyway, Jeffrey is asking what are some good extracurriculars related to medicine, chemistry, and or biology. And just a reminder, we have 5 more minutes in this breakout room. So if you have any other questions, just leave them in the chat.
For medicine, I guess you could volunteer at a hospital. I mean, those are kind of a little bit hard to get into, but I heard there's also virtual opportunities you could do, like maybe some data entering of like hospital records I saw some on like some job websites before. At your school, if you heard of a club called like HOSA, that could also help you. Yeah, that's about it.
Something I was involved in is called the One Health Hackathon. I'm not sure if that's still running or what the details are. I did it last fall. It was really cool because it combined like computer science with like public health and like engineering, I guess, also.
Okay, well, is there one significant advice that you would give to all high schoolers or just those completing an application right now, and those who are transitioning into like a university or going to another country in the future? Or I guess like any advice you wish you would have given yourself when you were in grade 12 or grade 11.
I think like as cheesy as it is, just staying true to yourself and like not trying to be someone you're not in the application, because it's pretty obvious when you're like trying to make up this whole persona. Like, own who you are, capitalize on your skills, your interests. It's also, your application's your time to brag about yourself. Like, you're not going to do that to people around you, but if you don't say to the admissions officers, they won't know. And then once you're at college, be open to making friends kind of anywhere you are, because the people you meet are insanely interesting and have all these cool hidden like talents and experiences that you just will never imagine without, and like get to know without like diving deeper and giving people a chance.
Any last questions for our panelists? Do sport-related extracurriculars help?
So for sport, I guess yes. I mean, you don't have to. It really means like just if you do sport related extracurricular, it shows that you do have like maybe some time management skills. You can manage your sport, you can manage your studying, you can manage your social life too. So combining all that, it could help you with your application. Also, if your sport is like a team sport, maybe you could talk about collaboration, teamwork, whatever.
Yeah, also like if you have a leadership position on a team, like assistant captain or captain, that's just something else to add. But I wouldn't like go start playing a sport if that's not you, just for the application. But if you do play sport, then definitely include it if it's a big part of who you are.
Yeah, kind of echoing what the others said. You don't want to do sports or any activity in general just because it looks good on a resume. Like, I played soccer growing up in high school. I had a lot of fun with it, like kept me in shape and also like was good for my mental health too. So like I'm all for sports, but don't just do it because you think, oh, an admissions officer would think it would look good.
Okay, thank you all the panelists for speaking with us and taking time out of your day to give us such insightful advice. It is 5:30 now, so we're going to reconvene in the main room. So if you press leave room and breakout room. Leave room.